I was having a bad Friday afternoon at work. I was feeling really unmotivated, and while I was waiting for my next patient, I made this mistake of opening Instagram. And I saw a former classmate of mine who had changed careers, and she was posting from a festival. I remembered how suffocated I felt being trapped between four walls in a job that didn't fulfill me, when there were people who made the decision to embrace a new life. At that moment, I didn't want to be in that particular festival. I just wanted to have the choice to be able to do it, to manage my own time. That's when I realized something. I was constantly comparing my life to others, and that was really slowly destroying my happiness. I remember always being compared to others. My mother used to compare my grades to my friends. My family used to compare me with my older sister because she was calmer and I cried more. And even when I chose my college degree, they considered hers more prestigious than mine. They didn't mean to hurt me, but they did. And I grew up with this feeling that my worth depended on how I was compared to others. And that way of thinking followed me until adulthood. So I followed the safe path. I pleased others. I did what everybody was expecting me to do. I worked hard and had this stable job. But at some point, I realized that it wasn't working. I looked around and it seemed like everyone else had jobs that didn't leave them so stressed or unhappy like mine did. And it got me wondering if I had made all the wrong choices. Then social media came and magnified everything. It created a window to other people's lives, the part they want us to see. It made me think that other people's work was better than mine, that others had more fulfilling lives, while I was feeling unmotivated and in some ways frustrated. As I grew older, the comparison became deeper. I saw people at my age buying houses, having stable lives, permanent lives, grown-up lives. And for me, a house was always more than just property. It meant safety, comfort, something that I deeply craved. I felt like I was light years behind everyone else. On that Friday afternoon, staring at that festival post, something clicked. I realized that this cycle of comparison wasn't good for me because it generates chronic dissatisfaction and multiple insecurities. So I knew that I had to change something. I tried different approaches, but three things actually made the difference. I reduced the use of social media applications and unfollowed negative accounts. I set alarms on my applications, and when the alarm goes off, I have to make a conscious decision. Am I doing this intentionally, or am I just scrolling into other people's timelines? Because one thing that I realized is that comparison happens in those mindless scrolling moments. I removed accounts that make me feel stressed, unmotivated, or unhappy with my life, even if they were from people that I knew personally. Now, I only follow accounts who bring value to my life. My feed became a space for growth instead of insecurities. I started journaling, and journaling gave me the clarity because I can filter the noise and focus on what I really want instead of what I think I should want based on other people's timelines. I began writing 3 things that I was grateful each day. And now I truly believe that the more grateful we are, the happier we become. Because when you focus on the things that you have instead of what you lack compared to others, your perspective changes completely. I compare myself to myself. Instead of measuring my achievements against other people's timelines, I started asking myself, am I better than I was last year? Last month? Once I started tracking my own growth, I realized that I stopped being obsessed with other people's success because their achievements didn't intimidate me, they inspired me, and their success doesn't diminish mine. It really shows me that it's possible. Of course, there are days when I fall into this comparison trap, and I think people at my age that I know have a house, a stable life, and here I am starting over in Southeast Asia. Whether we like it or not, we are part of the society, and society has always opinions about our choices. People still look at you in a strange way when you don't follow the conventional path. It is almost like it would be more acceptable if you follow the normal route and be miserable your entire life than to do what actually makes you happy. But I refuse to choose safety over fulfillment, and I refuse to give up on myself every day. I have to accept that some levels of comparison are part of the human nature. But I think the point here is to gain awareness and questioning ourselves. Make these questions to ourselves. Why am I comparing myself to this person? What am I looking for when I scroll down to social media? Are these goals actually mine, or are they being influenced by what I see others doing? And when you're clear about what you want and what matters to you, you make better choices. For me, leaving my country and my job gave me the peace of mind that I needed to think clearly. And when you're confident in your decisions, you stop comparing yourself to others because you're too busy building a life that actually feels like yours. And you realize that you don't have to live according to someone else's timeline. You get to decide your own. Thank you for listening. I'll see you soon. They didn't hate like I hated mine. I'm sério. But I refuse to choose. I refuse the shoes. But I refuse the shoes. Word. I removed and muted accounts that used to bring me a lot of problems.